I welcome you to this space in time where we can explore something interesting. I hope to you it is to me. Good morning, Lisa, from Virginia. Nice to see you. Nice to have you here. Thank you. Yeah. Today, I'm originally from Saskatchewan. When I think of Virginia, I have no idea, but I think of, this is probably wrong, but in my mind, I think a lot of green and meadows and trees. I don't know. Where I was in Saskatchewan, there was a lot of flat land. You could see for miles. It's funny how we get an image of something in our mind, a place in our mind. We'll explore this today because the same things kind of happen with food, with people, with the circumstances of our life. Hi, Astrid, from the Netherlands. It's 5 p.m. there. Well, that's kind of a nice time, is it? I don't know. Yeah. Lisa, thanks. I'm eating chips. Oh, I love chips. Yes, lots of green. I'm a new transplant from New Hampshire. I believe that is. Nice. Nice. Yeah. Yes. Awesome. Well, that's so lovely that you said chips. Ugh. Because it's kind of indicative of the thinking that we have about different foods, and we make meaning of it. And often it's like it's innocent. It's innocent. So yes, New Hampshire. Okay, great. Nice to see you. Nice to have you here. So today we're going to talk about curbing cravings with consciousness. And where I love to start is with the nature of things, because we can look at this in different ways. We can look at it around physiology, around the body, and psychologically around the mind. So if you've been in here with me before, you know that I see the world. This is how I see the world. I see that through our own thoughts, through our own thinking, and it's layer upon layer of thinking and thoughts that we've been conditioned to believe, to see the world in this certain way, to see that chips are maybe something that we shouldn't have, or they're not good for us, or, in moderation, or, we all have, or some people have like no thoughts about it at all. That is where, hello, Elena. Nice to see you and be in company with you again. It's a place, the nature of who you are is well-being, is healthy, is alive and calm, peaceful, open. Who you really are is infinite intelligence, the one energy that lives and breathes through all of us, that animates your body and has created a very specific body just for you to for this energy to express through and then experience its expression through the senses of the body. So when we can look at the nature of who we are, and then let's bring that to the table of cravings. So a little bit about me. I am Michaela, and I've had a lot of experience all my life with so much thinking about food and my body, and believing that all of the thoughts that I had about food, all the thoughts that I had about my body, that they were true. And it limited me and brought stress and strain and effort, deprivation, all kinds of things to the table. And it still happens at times. And I want you to really hear that, because we are human. And as human beings, we think, and we will, as long as we are thinkers, we're going to be faced with something that will have us acting in a certain way because of the feeling of the thought that we're thinking. We think, a feeling arises with the thought. We experience it in our body. It causes us to, or it could cause us to behave and act in a certain way. The more conscious we are, the more aware we are of the nature of how the mind works, of what it is we're really experiencing, the feeling of our own thinking, the more ability we have to make a different choice, to make an aligned choice. And what I mean by aligned is making a choice that feels good in the body. The feeling of your thinking will let you know whether you're allowing universal energy to express through you, because it only has goodness and feeling good and creating more delightful things, experiences through you. That is its nature. It's love. So when we're following that, it'll just feel right. It'll feel good. Your body will be relaxed and open. And when we're trying to figure things out, or, like, okay, well, I can't eat this because of that, or at least, okay, no, I'm just going to make it, I'm just going to take a little tiny bowl because then that'll help control me, and we put all these rules in place, and there's tension. There's tension around that. And what happens when we're tense? If we've already, our, I don't know what the word is, proclivity? I'm not sure. If we already are kind of bent in that way, that we might use food in some way to help us feel better. When we're feeling stressed, we actually get into a cycle of just more trying to figure it out even harder, trying harder to make a change, to do something different, to stop something. And it actually just brings more. So let's get to the craving bit. What is a craving? Let's first so I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not any kind of physical body dietitian, nutritionist. I don't have any of that training. This is just my own. My background is in energy healing and transformative coaching. So I use myself as my training ground, my testing ground, to see what makes sense. I'm always open to learning more because we're all coming from the same energy, right? So we all bring something to the table to share with each other that can be helpful for each other. So I'm always looking outside of my sort of parameters of what I typically look at because I want to know. Last fall, I'm in Alberta, Canada. I took some courses that were offered by Alberta Health on, emotional eating and, those kinds of things. It was like, what are people learning about? What are they seeing? And there was some helpful bits. That I could see, oh, that's a good perspective. So I would like to offer you different perspectives on all of this. So in looking at the physical body, I think we could all agree that we have hormones that can fluctuate and cause different reactions in the body. Even like our thinking causes chemical reactions in the body. That's the psychology part. I'll get to that. But physiology, here's an example. Years ago, I was doing a cleanse with my naturopath, and my sister and brother-in-law were doing it along with me. Sort of I was passing information on to them. We were just kind of following the same diet and stuff, and yeast was one of the things that we were trying to shed some of. And so she told me in the third week in, and she told me, she said, now just beware that at about this time, 3 weeks in, the yeast in your body is going to give a last ditch attempt to get you to feed it. So she said, you will likely have cravings for things that typically when you eat it, it feeds it. So I was aware. I was conscious of this. I understood. I wouldn't have known that. I understood because I knew the nature from a professional that I trust. I'm not saying you have to go out and get a naturopath and you have to, but just be aware, do your own testing, because you'll see a lot of this yourself just in sort of noticing. We'll talk about that a little later, about what you could do going forward. So I knew about this. Well, too late. By the time I shared this with her, she and her husband had already eaten a bunch of popcorn because she said they were just like ravenous for it. They had this craving for it. And she said, dang, I wish I would have known that because I would have resisted. I wouldn't have done it. So there's different things that we can look at. That's why I always like to go to the nature of things. When we understand how things work, how the mind works, how the physical body works, and these days there's so much information, here's what I like to do. As much as I can, go to a source that is just going to give facts, not opinion. Because opinions are already fraught with thought. So diets and that kind of thing is just like, go with what feels right for you. So, yeah. So those are some of the things. And here's the thing. When we are kind of, let's say, words that I've used, like struck with a craving, we kind of can get into a place of helplessness. We feel kind of at the mercy of them. So let's look at this from this perspective, that we're really not, that we can have more info. Lisa, I did a Whole30. Oh, I don't know exactly what that is, but it sounds like it sounds like a cleanse or something, maybe, I'm guessing. And sugar is like this. It's called your sugar dragon. Ah, yes. Yeah, yeah. A 30-day elimination diet, right? Yeah. Yeah. So it's good to know. It's nice to know how your own body works, and what works for your body could be quite different than what works for my body. You know, culturally, where you grow up in the world, the types of foods that are available to you, you know, all kinds of things. Preferences. You'll have preferences, and they'll all be different. So something that will work really well for me may not for you. So it's getting in tune with your own body. And here's the thing, let's bring it back to the nature of it. It was created, designed by infinite intelligence. The energy that created trees and grass and ocean and the stars and the moons and the solar system. It has things running through it that we just can't comprehend. There's things that are not even fully understood. We can trust the guidance of infinite intelligence, which is guiding us 24/7. It's offering. It's in an offering state and wanting to express through you. It's guiding you in how to nourish your body. So when we have these urges, here's another way of looking at it. Our body has, well, we have all of our senses, right? We have, so if we're thinking about food, we can have crunchy, we can have mushy, we can have chewy, we could have liquid, so it's soft or slippery or creamy, or we have all of these senses that we're able to discern with consciousness. I often talk about the 3 principles of divine mind, which is infinite intelligence, consciousness, which is our ability to be aware, and thought, which is what we experience and what we create our own personal reality through. And there's also divine thought, which of course is always guiding us. So we've been given these senses to use, to experience, to enjoy life. And we will have, like, have you ever had it, you know, where it's just like, I want something crunchy, you know, and maybe it's chips, maybe it's a vegetable, maybe it's a cracker, maybe it's nuts. But or we want something salty. So it could just be there is something that wants to be satisfied. Well, that something could be infinite intelligence. Yeah, it's a time to stimulate that sensory thing that gives me the sense of crunching into something. So there's that. There could be, I want something salty. Well, it could just be what happens when we eat a lot of salt. We tend to drink a lot of water. So, is it salt? Or is my body crying out for water? So it's just an interesting way to look at the nature of food. What it does, even if we want like a lot of fruit. Have you ever, I know it's happened to me, I've done keto diet in the past, and I've felt after quite a number of days like, oh my gosh, I just want a bunch of fruit. I just want something wet and cucumbers and something with a lot of moisture to it. Like I am dehydrated because I just can't get enough in. It's telling me something. Your body will speak to you. So you may call it a craving, but it might just be, let's call it a notification. So, yeah, it's fun to explore. And yes, emotional eating and cravings, I see that they're really, it's like they're very similar. Because our cravings, I've been creating something new. I've never done it before. What happens for me? I tend to get a lot of thinking about it because I want to get it right. I want to do a good job. I want it to be helpful. It's something I'm creating to be helpful to others. And I have a lot of thinking about that, about putting it together. So it takes me a long time. And you hear my story that I'm creating and I'm defending. I'm actually, every time I tell it, I'm actually giving it energy. I'm very aware of that. I want to be aware of it. And it's like, I see that there's, with food or with anything, there will be a period of time where I'm aware of it. I'm aware of it. I'm aware of it. Oh my gosh, I'm so aware of it. Why am I still doing it? I've learned that in time, it will shift. Right now, this makes sense to me. So what's happening the last couple of days? I've been eating more. I know that I'm going to it. I am not hungry. I am so aware that I am not hungry. It's not a craving, although I've noticed I keep going to the same food. And it's temporary. It's a temporary satisfaction because it's actually not satisfying what I really need. You can never get enough of what you don't really need. So the turning to it is just an escape. What's happening? How is that giving any kind of relief or feeling better? It's just taking a lot of thinking off my mind, just for a few minutes. That's all. It's temporary. So the more, like I know it, I've seen it happen in so many other places in my life. Well, it's like, calm down, Michaela. You're aware of it. There's no easy button here except to keep my awareness. Just keep noticing. Oh, okay, I'm doing it again. Okay, do I want to do something different? Nope. I want to go for it. I'm just going to do it. And I do. And as best I can, I just let it be. Is there judgment? Yes, sometimes there is. Because I think, and I've been trained to look at myself that way, but I'm unraveling that. So I have way less judgment than I ever had at any time in my life. I should just jump back on this a little bit. When I first discovered, and then I'll get to you, Kristen. I just want to jump back to, because it kind of relates to what I was saying and why things have changed for me and continue to get lighter and lighter and lighter where it pertains to food and body and, doing new things. So a few years ago, I came across this, just a simple spiritual and psychological understanding of what already is, of how life has been working forever. But it was worded in such a way by a Scottish welder named Sydney Banks, and he had an enlightenment experience. He was a Scottish welder with, I think it was a grade 8 or 9 education. He was living in Salt Springs Island, BC, Canada, British Columbia, when this happened. And it was just like all thought fell away. And he just saw clearly the psychology that we were getting all tripped up on, and how we are all living and experiencing the feeling of our own thinking. So there was no way to describe it, because how can you describe that? But he put these words together of mind, infinite intelligence, consciousness, our ability to be aware, and thought, the creative Play-Doh of life, and how we experience whatever we're thinking. So I came across that 3 years ago, and it was less than a year later that I was coached by someone familiar with the 3 principles, and I had my own insight around the body and how I was not that. So since then, I've been just exploring and experiencing and helping other people to see through their thoughts and thinking about the body and about food and all the rules and things that we make up. So, because here's another, we often, let me go to Kristen. I'm an emotional eater. It was a habit that was formed early in my life. When stress happens, I turn to food to escape. It never works though, because now I have stress from overeating. Ugh. I hear you, Kristen. I so hear you. I feel that. Yeah. Well, here's the good news. That can change. That can all change. And I can't promise that it can change, that life will change like it did for Sydney Banks in that moment where 9 months later he had psychologists and psychiatrists coming to him to learn, because there was such a profound effect that the simple understanding of it had on people, were problems that they've had for years and years and years just fell away. It happened to me. Not all of my problems. It wasn't like Sydney where I just saw it all everywhere. I see it in places in my life, and then there's some places where it's like it's still sticky, and I'm exploring there too. Money and time is, in time, I will explore both of them here. Like, let's look at it. This one is feeling alive for me right now, because there is still so much to see. I can see that because we'll get, I've spoken before about a spiral, that it seems like we've gotten clarity on things and that we've moved past it and it seems to be working, and all of a sudden we're not doing this, we just aren't doing the things that we were doing before, or it lessens. And it's just like, wow, I don't know what happened. Well, what happened is you had an insight. You saw something, the energy, the infinite intelligence that's within you, it was catalyzed. You saw it, thought, life, circumstances more clearly, less thought. There was a space. I'm glad this is resonating with some. So you saw something new, and now all of a sudden what you were doing before doesn't make sense. It doesn't make the same sense as it did before. This is what consciousness, awareness can do for you. Sometimes it's just drip, drip, drip. It just happens in little bits where you see something new and you don't even know that it's really done anything. It's like, okay, that's cool. And then all of a sudden you find that, you're not going to the cupboard like you used to for whatever it was. Or it could be something totally unrelated to the information that you picked up. It could affect another part of your life that you weren't expecting. That's happened to me before too. and we just catch up in the comments. Lori, hi Lori. I know the overeating can never fill the void, yet I keep doing it. All my notifications are for chocolate. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. You know what I've noticed, Lori, in the people that I work with is that I'm like very happy, and even though they aren't so happy in that, they're happy when they hear this. I get really happy the more and more, this is going to sound bad, but I think you'll get it. The more unhappy or resistant they become to doing the thing that they don't want to do, that is when that tension becomes stronger. It's like you're getting closer to it just snapping. And it may be just little bits, like the band that keeps pulling you back to that action will get a little bit stretched out, and it doesn't have the same pull. This is part of going to the nature of things, understanding that it takes the charge off, it lessens the charge. And then, but I know that they're getting closer to a breakthrough. I'll call it a breakthrough. They're getting closer to an insight. Getting closer. It's like getting more ready to leave all that behind and look instead to what they really want. What they truly want to experience. So hang in there. Hang in there. If you have something more that you'd like to say to that, or Michaela, that wasn't helpful, give me something helpful. I'll try again. I'll try to point to it and point back to the infinite intelligence. That's what I'm always doing. Pointing back to your own true nature. Because that's where the answers and the solutions are for you. It's always coming from in there. Elena, you're welcome, Lori. Yeah. Elena, balancing blood sugar is so important with cravings in my experience. Yes. Let's talk a little bit more about physiology of our bodies. Here's another thing I noticed. Let me know if you notice this too. If I'm not getting enough sleep, I'm tired. I'm a little more tired. And when I'm a little more tired, yet I'm forcing myself to move about in the world and do my regular whatever it is I need to do, I'm feeling a little more, I was going to say stress, and I suppose it is. I haven't really thought about like what it is. It's almost like I'm struggling with these words here because I wanted to say it's almost like my defenses are down, but it's not defenses, because if we feel like we have to like hold up our guard and put up our defenses and, keep all the what we deem bad food out of the house, and we need to, I don't know. There's so many rules and regulations I've used throughout my life. Even bulimia. I've used that too to try to control things. And that is like a defense. That's like defending. So that's not quite what I mean. But it's almost like when because your natural state is well, when you are getting what you need, when you are listening to the indications of your body that you need sleep, you need to rest, you need to go have a nap, and you're not doing it, it's like there's more going on up there somehow. It's like it's muddier or messier. Laura, hi, Esme. Did I say that correct? I'll say Esme 1 or Esme 2. Which one is correct? It's a pretty name. 2, Esme. Thank you for that. That's lovely. Well, you know what? I am recording it, and I haven't gotten around to this yet, but I will eventually make them available somewhere so you can watch them. When I have that, I'll put it in my bio. And yeah, so you missed a bit. Felice, please let me know if I'm not pronouncing a name correctly. Yes to the lack of sleep and having less willpower. Morning from Vancouver. Welcome from Vancouver, fellow Canadian. Yeah. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to make a note here, because willpower is like a whole nother subject that I think we should talk about sometime. That was that whole idea about, that's where the defenses came in. So to me, that was like for me, it was a habitual way of thinking. That, right, I have to be on guard. And yeah, and willpower is kind of that too. Like we have to effort. But the thing is, when we allow universal intelligence, that which you are, it's not separate from you. It's who you are. It's running through you, living, animating you right now. So long as your body has life, you have universal energy, universal intelligence, and infinite possibility running through you, offering up all kinds of ways, moment to moment, of how you can be in the world, express. It's expressing through you and experiencing that. That is effortless. There's no willpower needed. No willpower needed at all. The only time we need willpower is when we're trying to figure things out and manage our life from our personal mind, which is all made up of what we've known and what we've been conditioned to. Sydney Banks called it a graveyard of thoughts at times. He also called it contaminated thinking. That universal mind, the one, is bringing something through us, and it feels good. There's a feeling to it. It feels good. It's like you want that. And then your personal mind comes in, starts thinking about it and saying, well, you can't do that, or that's not possible, or, you know, all kinds of, or, ooh, that sounds scary. No, don't do that. What if this happens? What if that? And it contaminates it, sort of shuts it down. Let me just go back here. So that was a little bit about willpower. Let's talk about that another time too. Lori, I think lack of sleep makes it harder for me to function. You have to push yourself through your day. Yeah. It's like we're working against what the system requires. It's like I have I had an old laptop, and I have quite a few tabs open. It's just the way I do it. Rob, my husband, always says, close all that. Why do you have so many tabs? It's hard in the machine, of course, And, this is just how I do it. I seem to have a lot of things going. Now, if you have a machine that's not too old, it can handle it, right? Like, I used to be able to stay up really late when I was much younger, and the system functioned okay. I got the pronunciation right. Good. Thank you, Felice. And now that I'm a little bit older, my system does not function on like staying up really late. It just doesn't do well. I feel hungover, and I haven't drank for quite a number of years. So, yeah, I get it. But if you listen, and that's the thing, we really, life sometimes happens where we don't have the luxury of going to have a nap when we need it. I was up at like 1 something in the morning last night. I'm feeling okay now, but I know I'm going to have a nap. I'm going to want one. I'll need one. And I know there's space in my day where I've already seen that I could have it there if I need it. and I'm going to allow it, right? We can't always, but it does help to know how the mind is working and how the system works, and then we can sort of, the more aware we are, then we can sort of plan for that. We can plan for, okay, I didn't get a lot of sleep. That means I might reach for, food that doesn't make me feel good, even though I want that when I'm really tired or when I haven't had enough sleep. So it's like, how can I support myself today? We're always in support of our nature. It's good to know yourself. Yeah, to be aware. Let me just catch up here. Yeah. Kristen, it's like the layer of oil on our skin. It keeps our skin safe. Lack of sleep is like a strong astringent that takes that layer away. That's such a good analogy, Kristen. Yes. Yes. Oh, great. Thank you, Felice. I got the right. Christine. Hi, Christine. Yes, please, to a willpower talk. Okay. I have many self-imposed rules for eating, which I can abide by all day, but they go out the window after 8 p.m. Well, isn't that really good information? That is such great awareness, right? And this is where we can kind of help each other. What's happening? What's happening after 8 p.m.? What's going on in your mind? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Is it because your body's just really tired and it actually told you at 7:45 that you should just go to sleep? And that I'm making stuff up now. I'm just, because these things can come up. But you thought, no, I have to do this and I got to do that and I must do this and I can't go to bed at 8 o'clock. Like, I'll be up at 2 in the morning. It's like, well, I'm just wondering, what do you notice about that time? And how can you help the system to function optimally? Listening. Really, I'm not talking about figuring out how to help it. What I'm saying is, how can you allow God, universal energy, life force to guide you? What does it want you to do, really? Just asking. It's just a question for you to just check into. Kristen says, Christine, I can so relate to that. Felice, +1 to the willpower. Okay. Christine, maybe you're sending a heart to Kristen. To Kristen. Felice, same, Christine. Christine, K. Kristen, I used to feel guilty for naps, but now I finally realize it's a necessity when I'm tired. That's so brilliant, Kristen. So brilliant. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to check in to see if I had any other... right. Yeah. Sorry. I had made a note about hormones, yes, and the sleep and nutrition. Like, you were being guided too for that even, right? As to what you need. I'm meeting with, so I'm perimenopausal. It's after, right? And my body does not function how it did before. And I was so stubborn and thinking that I can do this intuitive eating thing, intuitive living, that's what I'm all about, that's what and I'm just gonna do it all myself. Well, really, Michaela? So what I was doing there was thinking that I can figure it out. I don't need anything else. I had to just let loosen that up. Because I thought, if I can't do it, how can I help anyone else do it? Well, part of intuition, part of allowing yourself to be guided by that which is always trying to guide us so easily, it may guide us to go call on someone. It may guide us to talk to someone who has nothing to do with healthcare or the body. It could be a friend, or maybe you bump into someone at the grocery store. And it's like, oh, I wasn't going to go to that grocery store today, but oh, it's on my way home, so I'll go to that one. And then you bump into someone who you have a little chat in the line, and they tell you about something that sparks something in you and has you going in a different direction, exploring something. Maybe it's I don't know what. Could be anything. But all of a sudden, it leads you to somewhere that is helpful. That is how infinite intelligence works. It's not always a straight line. Yes, I'm going to go to my naturopath and she's going to fix me up. Ah, maybe. Maybe if that was what was being nudged. So I've kind of been all around the block. And most interesting, I've talked to this dietitian a couple of times before. And both times it's just like, oh, you know what? I got this. I went on, and then I kind of know I can figure this out on my own. I can just follow. But you know what? Just like I didn't understand that when I'm on a certain type of cleanse and yeast may be dying off, and it's going to drive hormonal changes in my body that are going to like be pushing, nudging me to reach for something. If I didn't know that, I would have just done it. Maybe. So what don't I know about how the human body works? What might I be missing in my diet that would help? Like I can't remember who had mentioned chocolate. And it's just like, there are a lot of healthy things that it provides the body. Maybe I need more chocolate in my diet. I don't know. So what do I really want? What is, so there's this line. That's what I'm saying. There's this psychology that we've had. I'm going to talk about myself specifically. I've had so much thinking on it for so many years that sometimes it's like it gets cloudy. So it's just like, what feels good? It's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to talk to her and I'm actually going to listen. I'm going to ask her, how does this body work? What is typical scientifically? And let me take that and let me bring it into me and press it against my own inner intelligence, the infinite intelligence, and let it guide me in what I need to put in or how I need to move my body. You hear that a lot about, hormonal movement or metabolic, or different ways that you need to move your body to catalyze things. It's like, well, let me go to a scientist. Let me find out the nature of how this works. And then but you may not get that guidance. I'm not saying do that. I'm saying that was something that I keep getting nudged back to her, but I keep pushing her away. So I'm gonna listen. I'm going to become more aware. Let me become more conscious. Just like what I did with those courses that I took last fall. Let me just see what they say. They know stuff too. Let's see, share, and then find out what feels good. Because there were some things that they said that didn't resonate, didn't feel good. There'll be things that I'm saying here today that won't resonate, and there'll be other things that do resonate. Pay attention to that. You are your own best source of guidance for you and your body. I'm just catching up in here. Yeah. How can we tap into our source and make it stronger? Lisa, that's such a great question. Yeah. And Jessica said, St. Christine. Right. Maybe willpower. You're talking about Jessica. I'm not sure. So tapping into our own source. Okay. It is already strong. The only thing that makes it seem that it's not is that we have so much thinking. I'm gonna grab my whiteboard. I hope that's okay, and I'm just gonna show this. Okay, this has a big blotch in it, but it's okay. This is how I see the world. Now, I might have to, sorry, there might be some bumping and noises. And I got a little blotch on there, but just ignore that. It's nothing. Now, okay. So I'll say this is source. This is universal intelligence. It's infinite. This is like one of those EKG machines. This is you. Whoops. I see it as that. Now, it's not just beneath us, right? But I see source energy, universal intelligence, God, Allah, Buddha. I see that it is the foundation for us. This is what we can rely on. This is what we can stand on. This is what we can learn to trust. And sometimes it'll feel easier to than others. So all that's happening. So when we are aware and open to and aware of infinite intelligence guiding us, whatever comes up, it will feel good. The impetus, the idea, and there might not be much thinking about it. You've probably had days, Lisa, when you've just kind of, things just went along tickety-boo. Just you do this, and you go there, and then you do that, and it's just like, wow, that was such a great morning. I got so many things done. Or that was a great morning. I really enjoyed it. It just felt easy. Or, that was a great morning. I had my friend from back home called, and this happened. And so there might be all of these things that went on, and it just felt easy. Well, this is when you're allowing universal energy to guide you rather than resisting it, because that's the only thing you can do. You can either allow it because it's there all the time, it's running you 24/7, or you can resist it. Now, how do we resist it? With our personal mind thinking. So even source comes up, and that's thought too. We think all the time, right? So some of these thoughts might have come up from source, and many of them have been figured and worked out and made up and, grabbed from the past and thrown out into the future, like, well, what if this, what if that? So all that thinking happens one after the other. You can only think one thought at a time, even though at times it seems that there's a storm going on there. It's just a lot of, that's where you can have anxiety, which can lead to panic attacks. All that's going on is that there are so many thoughts coming in so quickly. It's like a tornado, and it affects different people differently. It can either spin you out and have you responding in ways that you would rather not, or it can actually freeze you and have you just stopped. So allowing, Lisa. Well, Lisa, the more you feel like, the more you understand this, the more aware you are, the more you will learn to trust this. And this is you, to trust yourself. Not all of the thinking from the past. Yes, it really is about practice. It's about testing it out in your own life. Because here's what can happen. When you're having all of these thoughts, as soon as you notice, that is your awareness, as soon as you're aware that, oh my gosh, my earlobes are touching my shoulders, I'm so, tense, whatever, what am I doing? Or you notice that you're, reaching for something you don't want. As soon as you notice that, it breaks into the thinking pattern. It breaks in. Just even a moment, a glimpse. In the beginning, it will be a sliver. I had no idea that I thought as much as I did. You get a little sliver, and there's the sliver, and then the thoughts will come right back in, and then you'll notice it again, and you'll have that little sliver. And over time, it's happened for me. I'm just a regular person. I've seen it happen in so many other people over the last 3 years. It's astounding, the changes in them. I know that these glimpses, these slivers, will get bigger. They will take up more space, and this space is when Universal Source will more easily come through. And the time in between will get shorter and shorter. So you'll get more and more open space, less thinking on the mind. And then that's why, have you a sliver? Yeah, hi Jen, nice to meet you. It's like you get a glimpse. Like, in a moment, you catch something. You catch that, oh my gosh, what am I thinking? Like, I'm sure we've all had moments where we're just so caught up in our thinking. It feels like a storm is going on. And then we catch that, oh my gosh, I'm just scaring myself, making myself, doing all of these what ifs. What if this happens? And what if that happens? And what if? And then we catch it. Catching it creates a little sliver of space in your mind between your thoughts. For example, this is very common. Let me know what it is for you. When you understand. Okay, great. Have you ever noticed that when you're going for a walk, maybe when you're in the shower, maybe when you're driving, possibly when you're brushing a pet or petting a pet, or you're doing something it's just, you're doing something, and that's where you have these good ideas come up. These wow, inspiration, we call it. Being inspired from within. And it often happens at a time when there's not a lot of thinking going on. When we're in the shower, sometimes I'll have busy thinking showers, but typically it's an area in life where we don't have as much on. And that's when we can get inspired. So it's when, hello Michael, welcome. It's when we have more space. And that space can get wider and wider. And the space in between those gets longer, actually. Does that make sense? Did I get that wrong? So the space of having a lot of thinking on will get shorter, and where it'll flip, where basically you might just be getting a little gap, that will get longer, And over time, the thinking will get shorter, those thinking storms. But remember, you're human, so it's going to happen again. It'll happen again. It's not something to be worried about. It's not something to be upset about. You can trust that I recognize when the feeling of when I am aligned, when I'm listening, when I'm following, it feels good. There's more peace, there's more space, and there's more aliveness. Yeah. Was this helpful? And if you have another question about this that I didn't seem to speak to, because I kind of never know where it's going to go. I just know we're going to talk about a number of things, and it's sort of going to point here. Great. Excellent. So glad, Jan. I hope, and let me know if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, Jan. Lisa, absolutely would so love to have a recording of these sessions. Okay, great. I will get on that. It might not be for a bit. I'm actually taking next week off. I'm going camping in the foothills, so it's going to be lovely. It's correct. Great, Jan. Great. Christine, yes, thank you, Michaela. Became more aware of the sleep-hunger connection. Excellent. Thank you, Lisa. Yes, I will. There is no service of any kind out there, so it's kind of nice, so it'll be lovely. Mountains and rivers and trees and birds and wild animals. Perfect. Yes it is. Thank you, Christine. Happy camping. Jan, that sounds lovely. Yes. Well, it's been a pleasure. Truly it has. And I learned so much too. I love that we can learn from each other. That's what we're here for, right? Thank you, Lori. Enjoy your time away, and thank you for today. You're so welcome. Yeah, thank you. If you feel inspired to only, and if someone in your life comes to mind who might benefit from the talks that I do. I don't always talk about the body, but I do a lot about the body, and often it comes back to relationship. So I know relationship is one that anyways, I do enjoy talking about a number of different things, because here's the thing, life is life. We're the same, lived by the same energy, no matter what area of life we are currently involved with. We feel our thinking in all aspects of life. So I'm really pointing to the same thing all the time, but it helps to sort of break apart specific things that we can get that feel sticky to us or get caught up in. So but feel free to share. And if you are new to my community or my space here, or me rather, it's not, then I would love to see you again. Follow me if it feels right. Lori, thank you so much. I so appreciate that. Thank you. Love to you all. Have a lovely week. The next, or couple of weeks, I guess, week and a half. The next live that I have scheduled is, what if you knew you were God? Then what? So this is kind of a place to just play and imagine and see. I invite you over the next while to just notice what you notice. Notice when you reach for something that you feel you're craving. And we're talking about food today, but you can actually crave anything. You can crave exercise. You can crave love. You can crave, touch. You can crave all kinds of things. And we are like a contained system. It gave you goosebumps. Well, we have everything we need inside of us, living through us. And there's the added bonus that we've been given this body to experience other things with. That's just added pleasure. That's just added delight. So I don't want to end on this, but it's like, do we really need anything else? Or is it just something from within that infinite intelligence is able to express through us? And it might involve another human being, and it would be delightful. But it's not, if there's a need, attention, that is one of the body's indicators that you got that. But what would be delightful? And that'll feel better. Anyway, just something to explore for yourselves. Test it out for yourselves over the next week. Me too. I'll do that. I'll be in the hammock a lot. So again, love to you. Thank you so much for your love and presence and involvement in this talk. And we'll talk to you again. Ciao.